Richard, I know you loved this Sunday. The 49ers went to Philly and laid the absolute smackdown on the Eagles. Richard, how fired up are you right now?
Mitchell, I'm really fired up, but this was my expectation for this game, Mitchell. They are an overmatched opponent. I told Skip Bayless, I told everybody on the Thursday night crew, I told anybody who would listen, like, if the San Francisco 49ers are healthy, there is not a team that should be able to beat them this season. And it showed again. They didn't have a positive yard, the least amount of yards in a quarter under Shanahan. I mean, as a coordinator, as a coach, as a head coach, I'm sure as a youth coach. And they still go on to beat them 42-19. Mitchell, the defense showed up in a big way, especially in the first half. They put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. They were out there hitting. I mean, Dre Greenlaw got kicked out of the game, but he was having a fantastic game before he got kicked out. He should get a Pro Bowl this year. Christian McCaffrey, 17 rushes for 93 yards, a touchdown, 3 receptions, and then you got Glock Purdy. Mitchell, 4 touchdowns, 148 passer rating. Brandon Ayuk, but Deebo Samuel, Mitchell, he talked a lot in the offseason. He said a lot of things in the offseason. He said these guys were trash. If we had our quarterback, we would have blown y'all out. Well, they had their quarterback, Mitchell, and they blew him out. So, I mean, he's a man of his word, Mitchell, and they went to Philly. Philly was not prepared. They had not looked good. They had snuck out of some of these games. Jake Elliott, 60-yard field goal. They won that game. Kansas City game, Valdez-Scantling drops a bomb. You get out of that game. The Dallas game, Dak steps out of bounds, whatever. You get out of that game. But this is not one of those teams where it's going to be that close. They are better on at every level of the team. And so I would expect that the offensive line, the Eagles' offensive line is probably better. But Mitchell, I expected this. I expected it to be a double-digit win. I did not expect them to put up 42 points, though. But here we are.
Well, Richard, as a common NFL fan, a fan not of the San Francisco 49ers, this team scares the living shit out of me. They look head and shoulders above every other team in this league. They deserve to be the number one team in everyone's power ranks, in my opinion. They go on the road against, arguably the best team in the league in Philly, and they make this look like Philly doesn't even belong on the same field as them.
Yeah, Mitchell.
Deebo Samuel. This is a huge game for him, Rich. He had 1 touchdown prior to this week. He was talking a lot of smack, like you said, and he backed it up. 3 tutties today. Richard, if they get him going, they got him healthy. They got their whole line healthy. Their defense is somewhat healthy. Look out. It's not going to get any easier down the stretch. This team is getting hot at the right time. What is going to stop this team?
And another guy who was talking mess, Jawan Jennings, 3rd and Jawan. He talked in the offseason like they really didn't want to see him, and they were acting like he wasn't a factor. He went in this game, had a big-time game, big-time catches on 3rd down, had the touchdown against I forget who it was against, honestly, because the game was already out of hand. But this team is just complete. Mitchell, Brock Purdy is in the MVP conversation. I think it's only like a 4-man race right now. It's Brock Purdy, Dak, Tyreek, and C.J. Stroud. I know we want Jalen Hurts in it. I understand. The guy has a lot of touchdowns. He's a fantastic human being. It just doesn't look like everybody else's. I mean, you can say Brock Purdy has all the weapons and he shouldn't be doing it like this. He's blowing these other teams out. So if you got head-to-head matchups with MVP candidates and one of them gets blown out or 2 of them get blown out, he didn't play Tyreek. I don't think they're not playing Miami this year, so we won't get to see that head-to-head matchup. But we have head-to-head matchups versus Dak and Jalen, and he outperformed both of them in the head-to-head matchups. That got to matter. That has to matter, Mitchell. And if we go into the season and we finish out and he continues to play as well as he is, I would expect him to have a realistic shot at winning MVP. Now, Dak is leading the league in touchdowns, has a lot of yards. C.J. Stroud also has a lot of yards, has the touchdowns. But Brock Purdy is doing it different. They did have that 3-game losing streak where Deebo and Trent weren't healthy. They were kind of banged up. They went into a little bit of a slump. They are out of it. They are out of it, Mitchell. Their number one defense showed up in a big way. Ever since Chase Young has come, these guys have not given up 20 points. I mean, they almost wouldn't have gave up a touchdown this game. They gave up a bit of a garbage time touchdown. But Mitchell, this defense is playing as well as anybody, as well as they've ever played. At the corners, they're playing really good, really hard. Yeah, Mitchell, I just can't see. I can't see a weakness right now on this team.
Oh, they don't. And to touch on Brock Purdy further, if he's able to squeak out an MVP win, that is the most insane story in the NFL, probably absent Tom Brady, right? I mean, this guy leads the NFL in passing rating, completion percentage, TDs per attempt, yards per attempt, and yards per completion. I mean, it goes on and on and on. He's the perfect quarterback for Kyle Shanahan, and he's getting it done